Hey, very nice to meet you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
How does it feel to be, recognised by the critics like this?
It's particularly good. I mean, they're notoriously hard to please. So yeah, it feels great. And I mean, we got very good press and reviews at the time when the movie came out, and so and that was kind of astonishing. I never really expected it to be received that well, and so for them all to kind of get together and decide that this is the doc of the year is very gratifying.
And it seems even strange just thinking back on the movie, almost reminding myself that, oh yeah, that was a documentary. That wasn't this, incredible dramatic narrative that someone had cooked up. That's all real.
It is, yeah, and I mean, funny enough, part of the idea was to create a doc that would appeal to an audience that would never go and see a documentary, that might really, that the idea is it kind of becomes academic, that it's a doc, and that, it played in multiplexes, which was fantastic, in terms of it being kind of vindication in terms of what we tried to do, create a thriller in a sense. And so I suppose the idea that it got to be as well received, and that people went into it and they weren't even sure that it was a documentary, and then they went home and they kind of Googled it and were kind of equally astonished to realise that it was real. It was all sort of part of the idea, really.
And when you were making it, I suppose editing it together, was it difficult to decide when to eke out these, give the next piece of information to the audience? So just as the audience is thinking, oh, so it must be that, then you go, oh, wait, I've got to completely reassess this.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a sort of logic to that, which was to do with the way, partly to do with the experience of actually making the film. So there were certainly times where I felt like I was in my own sort of strange detective story, in that, we'd do one interview one day, and you'd pretty much convinced that you understood exactly what happened, and the next day you go to another interview and come away with the diametrically opposite conclusion, and so that's quite a bewildering experience when you think you figured it out yesterday, and then today it's completely so I wanted you as a viewer to have a similar kind of journey, that as one truth emerges, another kind of takes over, and so on and so on.
And when you got to the end of that journey, did you feel like there was one side of the story that you were erring on, or is it just very difficult to remain objective anyway, I guess?
I mean, yeah, it is. I think, you're always going to have a subjective reaction to whatever it is that you're dealing with, in any situation, whether we like each other, whether we can, all of those kind of things. I think you try to just present the story according to those people, and allow and navigate a way through it for the audience. I didn't feel like, in terms of the big question of what happened to the missing kid, I was very mindful that Nicholas Barclay was missing and was at the heart of the story, but I also didn't feel like that was what the film was about. I felt really that the film was almost about this idea that just as I think you go in thinking it's about deception, the imposter, and possibly it's more about self-deception. It's more about what we as human beings are kind of capable of, choosing to convince ourselves of.
I could just ask you about the end of the movie, those last shots. When did you arrive on that decision to end it with that way, with the digging in the back garden?
Charlie had wanted to do that for a long time and hadn't been able to. There was the person who owned the property was unwilling, as you can imagine. I mean, it's not great, is it? And then he called me in London and said that there was a new tenant who was a police officer living at the property, and that he was willing to let him dig, and I felt quite confident that he wasn't going to find anything, and so I felt okay about that. And I also felt that end, that empty hole was a pretty good kind of metaphor for this whole idea that there is no neat answer, there is no single truth.
And as well, I guess that some people will keep digging, and who knows, maybe there will be some definitive...
I mean, he's still obsessed, and he's still out there, and he's still looking for answers. And
do you think one day that we will, or do you think...
I really...
Could be a sequel in it for you.
I'm kind of done with it, but I doubt it. But at the same time, Charlie is sort of obsessed, and I don't think he'll leave it. I think he's pretty determined to kind of keep looking and find an answer, and I think it's kind of consumed so much of his life that he needs to. So if anyone is going to figure it out, it will be him, I guess.
Well, congratulations on the film. Congratulations, John, on your award. And I don't think I'll ever look at someone's ears in the same way again.
No. You know, he's on Twitter. You can follow him, and he's out there.
Definitely.
Dear old Charlie. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks.